over here on a cornfield, we're seeing the same thing. Our coulter ran right here and right here. And so right here's our row middle where we're seeing these corn seedlings come up. And the ground's still a little bit cool. We're running the Precision Smart Firmer, and our ground temps have been running 60, 62 degrees. I mean, it's not really warmed up yet. There's our corn seed right there. So like on this one right here, that's right at 3 1/4 inches deep. And that corn seedling's just starting to put its first radical out. Got some roots coming here off the bottom. I mean, just that little tiny root is going to help push that plant up. But I mean, essentially right here is where our seed's at. And if you look right here, once again, same thing. There's 3 inches. There's 3 inches. So we're still perfectly hitting that row spacing even on the corn side. But you know, once again, looking at the aggregation, the tilth of the soil, it's pretty nice. Got a lot of earthworms in it. So when we first got this farm in 2012, it hadn't been under heavy tillage management. And I think a lot of people don't understand, you know, if you're doing full width tillage, you're really disturbing a lot of the biology, and you're also killing a lot of that worm population. And that's why we no-till. If we had all of our ground that was fit to do strip till, I would probably be a strip till farmer. I see a lot of the benefits to strip tilling, especially in some of our clays. Even if it's on a 2 or 3 year rotation, where say we strip till in the fall ahead of corn and get a cover crop established, you're changing the bulk density in that strip. You'll see cover crop roots. Some of the farmers I've worked with down east in the state, they'll rip in the fall, plant those cover crops, and you'll see, you know, 40–50% more roots in that strip till area, which helps hold that that compaction from going back in. Where we've been doing cover crops 12 years now, compost, manures, making, you know, the rotation that we've got, increasing the organic matter. I mean, this ground is just so tilthy. The earthworms are here. They've got plenty of food, and we're very little disturbance. Even looking at nutrient management, if we're coming out here and we're putting on more than 80 pounds of nitrogen in one shot, we're actually seeing enough of a salt load that can be a detriment to some of the soil biology, some of the earthworms. And that's why, you know, like this winter when we traveled and we talked at conferences about even anhydrous. I don't think anhydrous is a bad form of nitrogen. I think the problem with anhydrous is most farmers go out with 150 to 200 pounds of nitrogen at one shot. Well, there's a lot that goes on there. So soil biology has a carbon and nitrogen ratio of about 14 or 15 to 1. So that means when you're putting out that 150 pounds of nitrogen in one shot, those microbes are going to consume some of that nitrogen, and then they're going to consume carbon. They're going to balance themselves. It's nature. It's a self-balancing system. Well, then we're burning up our carbon at a time of the year where we don't want to, typically if you're doing it in the fall. Another part of it is looking at earthworms. You know, you put that much nitrogen out there, you're going to salt out some of those earthworms. Then you start looking at, when you're burning up carbon, the aggregation that you see in the soil is built with glomalin, which is produced by the biology. They'll actually start consuming that carbon back, which then takes out the tilth of our ground. It limits our root development, it limits our nutrient uptake for the coming season, and it also limits our water infiltration. And so if you're burning up carbon and you're limiting all those factors just to, you know, save another 10 cents a unit on nitrogen, I think if farmers, you know, I've worked with a few this winter in Illinois and Iowa, where instead of putting out 175 pounds of anhydrous, they're only going to put out 75 pounds. And then they're going to come back with their program and do a liquid 32%, and why drop that in? And they're going to do a half of a field with each, you know, their old practices and using the new anhydrous rate and the 32%, and see which one has better water infiltration, which one has higher earthworm counts, which one's seeing even better yield, and then ultimately what's the return on investment. And that's really the only way to do it. I mean, this farm here, every year we have about 4 or 5 different trials on this farm, just like, you know, we're going to go to Hickory Lincolnton and plant over there. We've got 6 or 7 over there this year. And you've got to do it on your farm. I mean, you can take ideas from us, Dan, Corey, Shelby, Ethan, and put it on your operation, but ultimately you've got to split some fields up and try something different if you're going to try to make more money in farming. And that's the only way to do it.